MyPillow founder and CEO Mike Lindell was back in court last week, where he was asked to explain to a judge why he had not paid the $50,000 in sanctions that the judge had placed upon him for filing knowingly fictitious counter lawsuits against the voting companies that are suing him for defamation. And Lindell clearly told the judge, he said, "I have no money." He said, "I'm living on $1,000 a week. I don't have 50 grand to pay this." He said, quote, "I don't even have 5 cents. And he also mentioned something interesting. He said he's also having his wages garnished by the IRS. And I had talked about this. I did a segment on it over on my other channel, Fair and Balanced, and really made me wonder, like, okay, what the hell's going on? Why is the IRS garnishing Mike Lindell's wages? That would indicate that he has failed to pay taxes and the IRS is trying to recoup their money. Now, unfortunately, I never got an answer as to why Lindell is having his wages garnished by the IRS, but we do in fact now have confirmation that he sure as hell is. According to a new report from the Washington Post, not only did the IRS conduct an audit into Mike Lindell, and I guess as a result ended up garnishing his wages, but the Trump administration also tried to interfere and essentially shut down that audit. As the Washington Post reported, a Trump administration official in March asked the IRS to review audits of 2 high-profile friends of President Donald Trump, including MyPillow chief executive and conservative political personality Mike Lindell, according to 2 people familiar with the request and records obtained by the Post. A Trump appointee at the Treasury Department contacted senior IRS staff last month about an audit Lindell was facing. Soon after, the same official reportedly contacted the tax agency again, this time about a Republican state senator in Kansas named Rick Kluse. And they wrote that they were concerned that these men may have been inappropriately targeted by the IRS. Well, that's interesting, right? Now, here's where it gets even funnier. The IRS basically confirmed that, these people reached out to us, but do you know what we did with their reaching out? Nothing. We continued on with our job. We didn't stop. We didn't let them interfere. We didn't turn over materials. We were just like, whatever, we're going to keep doing what we're doing because that is our job. So, for the first time ever, I guess I'll say, good job, IRS, not bowing to the political pressure of the Trump administration. That's really great. But the other part of that, of course, is the fact that the Trump administration clearly tried to interfere in the IRS's work to save their friends. That is an abuse of power. If the IRS is looking into these people, it's because something didn't quite add up. That doesn't necessarily mean that every audit means you're screwed. It just means the IRS has taken a second look. Maybe something didn't look right upon first inspection. Maybe you can clear that up upon the second. But either way, this administration is going out of its way to try to protect their friends. That is an abuse of power. That is obstruction of justice. Not that anybody's going to get legally in trouble for any of it, but that is something we have to understand as these next 4 years unfold. If one of Trump's friends is in trouble, he apparently does still have a little bit of loyalty to them, and he will do what he can to try to interfere with those investigations. Thanks for watching, everybody, and if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. We got fresh content every day for you. And if you want to follow us across social media, make sure you check out all of the social links that we have posted in the description of this video.